Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottama Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nastaprayasu Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavate Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki. So good morning. Thank you for attending Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we're continuing our reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto. This is text or chapter 13, text number 33. So now we know this is a dialogue, a conversation between Prahlad Maharaj and this Brahmana. Of course, it's being retold again by Narada Muni and Yudhisthira Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was very curious about the condition of this yogi who was performing this very austere type of yoga practice. And he very willingly decided to disclose many nice instructional topics to Prahlad Maharaj. So we'll read the sloka, and then even though my Sanskrit pronunciation is always inadequate, the essence will be revealed in the purport and in the translation. So, Rajta Charata Satro Sva Janat Pasu Prakshita Artibhaya Kalata Shvashman Nityam Pranarthavadbayam Rajatas Charatas Satro Svajanat Pasu Praksita Artibhir Kalata Swashman Nityam Pranarthavadbhaya Rajatas Charatau Satro Swajanat Pasu Praksita Artibhaya Kalata Swasman Nityam Pranarthavadbhayam Rajata, from the government. Charutaha, from thieves and rogues. Satro, from enemies. Swajanat, from relatives. Pasu Praksitaha, from animals and birds. Arthibhya, from beggars and persons seeking charity. Kalata, from the time factor. Shvasmat, as well as from one's self. Nityam, always. Prana artavat, for one who has life or money. Bhayam, fear. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Those who are considered materially powerful and rich are always full of anxiety because of government laws, thieves, rogues, enemies, family members, animals, birds, persons seeking charity, and the time factor, and even their own self. Thus they are invariably afraid. So let's repeat, please. Those who are considered materially powerful and rich are always full of anxiety because of government laws, thieves and rogues, enemies, family members, animals, birds, persons seeking charity, the time factor, and even their own self. Thus they are inevitably afraid. Purport. The word shvashmat means from oneself. Because of attachment for money, the richest person is even afraid of himself. He fears that he may have locked his money in an unsafe manner or might have committed some mistake. Aside from the government and its income tax, and aside from thieves, even a rich man's own relatives are always thinking of how to take advantage of him and take away his money. Sometimes these relatives are described as Huajanaka Dasyo, which means rogues and thieves in the guise of relatives. Therefore, there is no need to accumulate wealth or unnecessarily endeavor for money and more money. The real business of life is to ask, who am I? And to understand oneself. This is a mistake here. And understand how to return home back to Godhead. Om Agyanatmarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksus Militam Gena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Marubhistam Srapitang Yena Bhutale Shvayam Rupa Kadamaya Padate Swa Padante Kam. So these instructions, so many of them that we read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad-Gita, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, most all of them contain rudimentary instructions, giving us the basic instructions on self-realization. They don't divulge intimate pastimes between Krishna, the gopis, such as this. Prabhupada says that the real business of life is to understand who I am. So this is the first stage in self-realization, which is what? Ata Brahma Jigyasha. So knowledge begins when we start to inquire. So this Brahman has given us a nice list of everything, everyone that these greedy, materialistic people, are constantly worrying about. So this conversation, how long ago did it take place? Maybe 1,000,000 years ago, right? When did Prahlad Maharaj come? When did Lord Nrsingadev appear? It wasn't 5,000 years ago. Who came 5,000 years ago? Okay. So this was much, much earlier than that. And it's apparent that anxiety among people was not something new. It was present even at that time. Today, mostly we know about modern thieves and rogues and these materialistic types of persons. But in the past, these materialist, these demoniac mentality people, they existed then. So nothing has changed. There's no question of being a modern day thief and an ancient so-called prehistoric thief. Both are thieves. So in this material world, everything always remains the same. So we know that millions of years ago, the sun rose in the where? East. The sun rose in the east and it set in the west. And today, where is the sun rising? East. And it's setting in the west. So there's no change in the direction in which the sun rises and sets. And there will never be any change. So in the same way, millions and millions of years ago, what were all the living entities in this material world interested in? 4 things. What are they? Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So what are they interested in today? Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So nothing has changed. These propensities still remain, and they will continue to remain in the future. So in the past, we had very powerful, materialistic, demoniac-minded people. We've read about many of them, such as Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, and this list goes on and on and on. So many demoniac mentality people were present in the past. What did they want? They wanted to control everything. They wanted to control everyone. They wanted all the wealth for themselves, and they didn't care, or it didn't matter to them who they had to step on in order to achieve their goals, even to the point of killing their own sister or their own son. So the way they live their lives is the same as our modern day leaders. We find them everywhere in every country of the world. There hasn't been any changes. This type of behavior continues today. But these kinds of people must always worry that someone will try to take away everything they have worked so hard to achieve. Up to the point where they begin to worry about their own lives. So we know from reading Krishna book that Kamsa was always worried. Kamsa was always in anxiety. And what was he in anxiety about? Who was he in anxiety about? The 7th son of his sister Devaki. So what did he do? He imprisoned them. just so he could keep an eye on her. And instead of killing her immediately, he was convinced that she was not going to bother him until her 7th child. And so one by one, they presented each child to Kamsa, and one by one he killed them. Mostly he dashed them on the ground, grabbed them by the feet, and smashed their heads against the floor, against the wall. To him it didn't matter if it was a boy or a girl. The girls were all girls. He was worried about the 7th son. So in this same way, our modern materialistic men, they are in great fear for their own lives. Why are they fearful? Because they have cheated so many people. What do? They surround themselves with bodyguards. They become so fearful for their life that they won't go anywhere without bodyguards. Yes, please protect me because I have so many enemies. They have cheated so many people, and now all of these people, they want to get revenge. So these words describe this type of person. It's anyayenartha satchayan. This means that this mentality of man, they will go to any means to get money, usually illegally, or using something as we've come to know as black market. So they're not opposed to taking money illegally if it means they can enrich themselves. So the word nayana means legal and anyaya means illegal. So this practice of gaining wealth by illegal means has been going on for as long as man has been here on this earth. And it always means that to get wealth, they must cheat others. Ill-gotten gains, they work hard to get these things, and they don't care if I have to cause pain, even to the point of killing you to take away your riches. So in life it may be done on a small scale, or it can also be done on a much, much larger scale. But the same thing is going on at the present moment, just as it was done millions and millions of years ago. So we know that these kings, they wanted to control the entire universe. What did Hiranyakashipu do? He performs austerities. Why? So he could get power, so he could gain control. He contrived so many ways in which he could live forever and maintain this control, not of just one tiny kingdom, but he wanted to control the entire universe. Upper, middle, and lower planetary systems. So, in order to do this, these people are willing to break any laws. In most societies, they establish certain guidelines that businesses must follow in order to give everyone an equal opportunity to be successful in their business. But if I can cutthroat you and cause you to lose your ability to do business, steal away your customers and all of your wealth, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't matter if I'm from America, I'm from India, I'm from Russia, any country throughout the world. And nowadays, the worst of all the people that we see are generally the politicians. So these politicians will enact new laws that benefit their friends and fattens their own pockets. But while they're performing all of these activities, something that continues to consume them, and that is fear. These people are called chintam. This means someone who's full of immeasurable anxiety. So this material world is ridden with anxiety. No matter how hard we try, we cannot escape from this chintas, or anxiety. It is here, and everyone is affected by it. Even here in our Krishna Consciousness Society, there's so much anxiety. Just like Dharmama Prabhu is always in anxiety. Oh, who will speak next Srimad Bhagavatam class? Or this anxiety, needing building materials for this, or this anxiety for this. And we are in anxiety thinking about, will there be enough prasadam for me for lunch? These anxieties are there, but they're spiritual anxieties. And we can't escape this. We still have to worry about something. Here we are in Vrindavan. We've come here because Krishna carried out his childhood pastimes here, and it's a very auspicious place to make spiritual advancement. Even the most wonderful and exalted personalities here in Vrindavan were full of anxiety. Radharani, she was in anxiety. What was her anxiety? Where is Krishna? Krishna has gone to the forest to take care of the cows with his cowhood boyfriends. But Radharani is thinking, oh, where's my Krishna? What's he doing? Is he safe? Oh, I'm so worried about him. When will he come back to see me? So she was in anxiety. The gopis, they were also in anxiety, because Krishna also, when he would go out to the forest to herd the cows, they would be sitting in their homes and they would be meditating on Krishna. And they would be thinking that, oh, Krishna's lotus feet are so soft, they're so delicate, they're so wonderful. Oh, we are afraid to touch them to our breasts because we may bruise his beautiful, sweet lotus feet. But now, where is Krishna? He's out into the forest. He's running around on Govardhan Hill. He's not wearing any shoes. The stones and thorns are penetrating his feet. Oh, this is such a terrible thing. We are so worried about Krishna. And this anxiety would fill them with such anxiety that they would faint. They would fall down and faint because they were worried so much about Krishna. But this kind of anxiety is good. If we have anxiety and we're thinking about Krishna, this is going to be our salvation. But if you're not thinking of Krishna, you're a materialistic person, and your anxiety will cause you to go to hell. But now, this sloka is not talking about the gopis, it's talking about the materialistic persons. So we'll get back on track here. These materialistic people are completely engaged in trying to fulfill their temporary bodily comforts. They are constantly worried someone will intervene and take away their means in which they can fulfill their material desires. So they don't know anything in life other than engaging in this type of sense gratification. Therefore, all of these activities in trying to satisfy their material bodies, they're unaware of the fact that they have a beginning and they have an end. But their anxieties are unlimited. They're continually in anxiety. And there's an example of like the fish. He's on the shore of the ocean and he is lying there flapping like this. And we take compassion on him and we want to alleviate this suffering, this anxiety that this fish is going through. And so we begin giving him all of these material facilities. One after another, we give him some food, we give him a pillow to lay on so he doesn't have to flap like this. We give him some sunglasses to protect his eyes from the sun shining down in his face. But no matter what we give him, he continues to flip and flop and flip and flop. And he remains full of anxiety. And his anxiety is because his proper position is to be in the ocean, not to be on the material world. So these materialistic people, their anxieties become unlimited. These giants in our modern day governments and businesses, they behave in this manner. An ordinary man here in material world, he's in anxiety. His anxieties are not as grand as those of the big materialist. He's worried about maintaining his family, paying the rent, paying the electric bills, such as this. Smaller anxieties, but his anxieties are still there. So, so the anxieties of the industrialists, the demons in our society today, are how to build their business, expand their empires, exploit their neighbors, how to make their companies and their empires not just locally but internationally. So therefore, in that way, they have facilities to exploit everybody in the entire world. But during this time, making profit, they are always in anxiety, worrying about someone who may come along and try to take it away from you. So this Brahmana listed so many types of people: birds and bees, the animals, even one's own family members. So I'll give you an example of this, a first-hand experience in regards to my mother. Now, she wasn't an industrialist or a business person, but through other means she inherited a large fortune. And my sister, from even her childhood, was devising ways in which she could take away my mother's wealth. And so at one point, as age creeps in, we become feeble, many times feeble in mind or unable to take care of themselves. So my sister packed up her suitcase in the East Coast and went to California, where my mother was, and immediately took control of my mother's life, became the power of attorney for all of my mother's affair, and whisked her back to her house in Arkansas. And there she very carefully began to deplete any wealth that my mother had accumulated. Going to California, going to every bank that my mother had savings in, going to her safety deposit boxes, taking her money and bringing all that wealth and jewelry and watches back to her home, where she could become the queen of her castle. And my mother deteriorated away and died. But my sister doesn't know that she has children, and they're not even her children. She's been married 3, 4, 5 times. I'm not sure how many times she's been married, but all of these children are in her home now. They are children of her present husband. And they are sitting there thinking, when will this old lady become feeble so we can steal her wealth? So if we act like these materialistic people who are only thinking how to gratify their senses, then what will happen? What will we develop? We will develop a demoniac mentality, and we will behave demoniacally, and we will have no qualms about doing any unsavory activity in order to satisfy our material body. These materialistic people are only concerned with this body, and they're always in this constant fear that something wrong, something's going to happen in my life. So we are all afraid of something. Everybody has a fear. So if I ask some of you, what are you afraid of?
Afraid of Maya.
Afraid of Maya. Well, see, this devotee always sleeping during class. But how about you? What are you afraid of? You're afraid of snakes? Snakes? If a tiger came in here, would you be afraid? Yes? So if you have a wife, are you afraid of your wife? Yes? Are you afraid of your husband? Are you afraid of someone stealing your wealth? So if we answer yes to all of these, what do they have in common? So all of these fears are in relationship to the body. So what does Krishna say in the Bhagavad-Gita? That the soul is eternal and it cannot be cut, burnt, withered by the wind. No way, any way can it be destroyed or anything. So why is there a reason to be fearful? It's because our mentality and our consciousness is only thinking of the body. So I have so much to cover. I hope I can get everything in. So if you ask me what I'm afraid of, my biggest fear is that at the moment of death, I won't be thinking of Krishna. So if you're not thinking of Krishna at the moment of death, what happens? You have to take birth again in this material world. And hopefully none of us want to take birth again in this material world. So we have to devise a way in which we are always thinking of Krishna. So what does Krishna say in Bhagavad-Gita? Always think of me, become my devotee, offer your homage unto me. And what does Krishna say he'll do? He'll protect us. And what will he do also? He will show us a way in which we can come to him. So hopefully this is what everyone wants to do. They want to go back to Krishna. So in order to do that, we must always think of Krishna. These are the key words here. Always think of Krishna. So we can't stop this thinking process. But if we only think of our bodies and how to satisfy our senses, how to get more money, how to have more sex life, how to do so many unspeakable and demoniac things, at the time of death, we will naturally be thinking of these activities and be dragged from this body to another body. This is for certain. And in this material world, there are so many different types of bodies. Unlimited, 8,400,000 different species of life. And we will have to pass through all of them. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, many times, until we finally have the realization that I don't want to be here in this material world. I want to go back home. I want to go back to Godhead. So you may take birth as a human being. You may take birth as an animal. You may take birth as a beast, a bird, a reptile. You may take birth as a tree. And if you're born in the body of a tree, what happens? You have to stand naked in the scorching sun and the freezing cold and be subjected to people coming and cutting off your branches. And you have nothing to do, nothing to say about these. You have to do this and remain in this condition for some trees 10,000 years. They've been standing like this. So nature doesn't give any sympathy or mercy. Even if a child is here and this child mistakenly or deliberately touches fire, there's no concession for this child. Mother Nature will punish that child by burning its hand. So in this way, we are punished for our deviant mentality at the time of death. So if we want to save ourselves from this miserable condition, we need help. We need someone to throw us a lifeline. And once we get that lifeline, we have to hang on to that lifeline with every ounce of strength that we have in our material bodies. And by the guidance of the proper teacher, we can pull ourselves out of this material world. There's a kind of an example of this is that some places people go to work or even to live where the conditions outside are so extreme. Blizzards. A blizzard is when snow is falling, strong winds. They're blowing so hard and it's so freezing cold that if you leave your house and you want to go to the next building, you have to have a rope going from building A to building B. And you grab hold of that rope and you pull yourself from one building to the next. But because these storms are so powerful, if you let go of that rope even for 1 second, you can become lost in that blizzard. And the snow is so strong and the freezing temperature so severe that you will freeze and die. So in this material world, if we want to escape from this material life, we need a lifeline. And every one of us has received that lifeline. Who knows what it is? That lifeline that we have received are these beads. And they have been given us by our merciful spiritual masters. He throws them to us, and we take hold of them, and he teaches us how to use them. And the process is holding in your right hand between your thumb and your index finger, or your middle finger, and pulling them, just as if you were in a blizzard, pulling yourself from one point to the other. You pull yourself by chanting the holy name on each bead, and continue chanting. And as you're chanting and chanting and chanting, the conclusion and the goal you reach is, who is this? It's not Chaitanya, it's Krishna. Get your facts straight. It's Lord Krishna. So we chant on these beads, and we will reach Krishna. So this Brahmin, he was very intelligent. He saw all the pitfalls of living here in this material world, and he did the extreme to escape the clutches of material nature. He simply lied down, maybe naked, on the ground, not moving, not doing anything, but focusing his consciousness on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So most of us, we don't have this determination, but we have a simple process. And that process is that if we take these beads and we hold them in our fingers and we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Not just once, but continually chant this holy name, then we will have success in life. But if you hold on to your beads and you let go of your beads, what happens? Material nature is there, and she's waiting for you to release your beads, and she will drag you back down into this whirlpool of misery and suffering in this material world. So if you want to be successful, you must always keep this holy name. On your lips. So now I'll stop. Any questions?
Krishna created this material world.
I'm sorry?
Krishna
Yes.
created this material world.
Yes.
Why is it so full of miseries and anxiety?
Krishna created this material world, or this material natures, because we had that propensity to enjoy. And so he created this, but he devised it in such a way where we're here and we won't be happy. And in that unhappiness, we will seek out an alternative life. And in that alternative life, we will find Krishna again. So we should be very grateful that we're here, because now we have the opportunity to find Krishna again. Okay, Hare Krishna. Okay. Thank you, Hare Krishna.